Hey guys, it's Mitch. How's it going? So we're here today to take a look at the penultimate chapter of Extreme Sacrifice. But first, we have like 5 or 6 issues to go through before we can get there. And then we'll look at Prophet number 10. So just before we get into it, if you enjoy the channel, if you feel like you might want to help out a little bit, go over and subscribe on my Patreon. Links are in the description, gives you early access to everything I do, helps out the channel, and helps to buy new comics. So, Extreme Sacrifice, of course, is the 1995 crossover event for Extreme Studios. This was the one directly after Extreme Prejudice, which was the 1994 event. And over the course of Extreme Sacrifice, Chapel was looking for a way to become essentially immortal and extremely powerful. Found out a way to do that was to kill himself and then come back as a spawn. But when he went to hell, didn't become a spawn, became a demon more powerful than the devil. And then kicked the devil out of hell and defeated all of his armies. And ever since then, the devil has been looking for ways to basically build a team. He's building a team to go and take back hell from Chapel. And we found out that team was Youngblood, because the devil actually took the form of Agent Graves, who's been showing up since Youngblood number 6, I want to say. And so with Chapel invading against Earth, Earth's mightiest hero, well, no, wait, some other title for them. The Order of the Night were gathering to build a team to go and take down the Uber Devil. And that's kind of where we left things off. The only other thing to really mention is that Chapel's main lieutenant, Crypt here, the guy with the giant battle axe, has been going around and fucking up everybody in the Extreme universe. All right, so initially when I got these comics, the idea was that I'd go through them one by one, because that's kind of what I do. And then I started looking through the issues, and I was like, oh god, do I actually have to talk about, like, Cedric Nacone and Todd Knock and Carl Alstetter and Roger Cruz and John Stinsman? Like, I kind of just want to talk about Stephen Platt, really, when it gets down to it. But there are actual events that happen over the course of Extreme Sacrifice. I know, it's shocking. I was taking a look through it, and it was just very surprising. Oh my god, things actually happen in these issues, I think. So we'll do a quick lightning round while we cover the events that happened in the previous issues, and then we'll focus on Prophet number 10. So first we're going to start with Supreme number 23, which I don't have. I thought I did. I ordered a whole bunch of Extreme Sacrifice books, and then I think I assumed I had Supreme number 23 and Team Youngblood number 17. Because everybody has those ones, right? It's like having the White Album. And it's a bit of a shame that I don't have those issues, actually, because, I mean, some of the more interesting stuff seems to happen in those ones. But from what I saw, Supreme number 23 is basically, it's just a fight between Crypt and Supreme. It's a comic where the plot was conceived by Rob Liefeld, so it's not going to have any kind of twists. It was just a big punch-up. Over the course of it, though, Supreme gets mangled pretty bad, and he seems to actually get killed in it. And at the end of the issue, he's just missing. So, again, not the most complicated thing, but it's a little bit interesting because it does seem to have some changes for the Supreme title. Also, just the concept of like an opening salvo, you immediately take out your opposition's big gun or potential big gun. Like, Supreme isn't guaranteed to be an ally for the Brotherhood of whatever the fuck they're called, but, you know, he could have been. And if you can make it so Superman can't show up to oppose you, you probably should do that. So that's interesting that that was the first move. I like that, actually. Next, we've got Bloodstrike, number 18. I think this is probably one of the ones the least happens in. We did find out that Bloodstrike, the character, only recently found out that he was previously Cabot. So he was revived after the Extreme Prejudice stuff, I suppose, and his memory was wiped. So that's interesting. And I guess it must have been revealed at some point that he was Cabot over the course of the last couple of issues. And this is, well, a couple of scenes, really. We've got Kirby. Is it Kirby? No, it's not Kirby. This is Major Bravo, isn't it? I think it is. And Bloodstrike and a couple of no-names who are, I guess, becoming regulars in Bloodstrike. And they're off to go free Warwolf, who was the saber-tooth guy that fought Night Saber in Youngblood number 8 and 10. And then we've also got Roman, who's going to try to convince Glory to join the Gathering. That's what it's called. And it turns out these guys are also members of the Order of, I think the Order of the Night. It was some dumb thing like that. So it's not just Bravo and Link and Roman. And yeah, mostly punch-up stuff, but, you know, a couple guys got recruited, I suppose. So that's something. And then at the end here, Crypt is going to go and attack Brigade. That was it. And you can see by the art here, you know, it's not professional quality. It's okay. You know, if this was like a self-published superhero book from like 1989, it would be fine. And this is the kind of artwork we're going to get over the course of this entire crossover, really. Okay, so then from there we go to Brigade number 16 by Roger Cruz, early Roger Cruz. And in this one, okay, so Roman and Glory have gone to go and find more recruits to join the Gathering or the Order of the Night or some kind of thing. And what they find is that Crypt has been there first, and he's imprisoned most of Brigade. He's like put them in some kind of stasis, except for KO. KO he just flat out killed, and Thermal he ignored because he could. Then he also kills Thermal. And does he kill Lethal? I'm not for sure. He might kill Lethal. He does kill Cold Snap. And I believe that's it. Battlestone isn't actually in this. From what I can tell, they think that he's dead as well. He seems to have been missing for issues previous to this. And yeah, so Crypt kills everybody in Brigade except for Seahawk, which is something. It it is actual events happening. It's not particularly interesting to read, but, you can't say that nothing happened in that issue like you could with Extreme Prejudice. Part 5 of Extreme Sacrifice is New Men number 10, where the New Men, who have left the hospital after Dash's baby went from child to man in a couple of hours or days or something like that. They're leaving the hospital, and then they get attacked by Crypt. Not a bad splash there for it, I suppose. The art's not super great, but it's probably the best stuff in this issue, which it should be, at least for a double-page splash. And there's some guy in it here named Kyber, who I guess has been introduced at some point, but he gets killed over the course of this. So that's something. And then Rain gets the jewel, the telekinetic jewel, stolen from off his head. So that's also kind of something. I don't think anybody apart from that Kyber guy got killed, so not the most eventful issue. At the end of it, the New Men teleport with the Order of the Night, minus Warwolf, to Youngblood HQ. Warwolf stayed behind to fight Crypt by himself and give them time to escape. I don't think he was given a choice in the matter, though, which I like. That's the title for the letters page. And they there's like no effort in this thing. I say that so often when I'm looking at Extreme books, don't I? Chapter 6 is Team Youngblood number 17, which I also don't have, and which seems to be the one that has the most events in it. You'll notice there's not really anything to do with Chapel up until this point. It's all just trying to get the group together to eventually confront Chapel, and then the confrontation, as far as I can tell, will all take place in Extreme Sacrifice number 2. So, unfortunate, but, I suppose we didn't really expect a whole lot more. The fact that we're getting something else happening in these issues is kind of surprising. So in Team Youngblood number 17, we find out that Night Saber is also a member of the Order of the Night. Maybe that's why his name starts with Night. We also learn that Major Bravo, the cable-looking guy, is the father of Shaft, the Rob Liefeld-looking guy, which is weird. And then Crypt and Warwolf bust into Youngblood HQ. It seems like just a continuation of their fight. Crypt beats up everybody. I don't think he actually kills anybody in this one, but he does destroy Youngblood HQ. So that's something. And then at the end of it, Prophet and Kirby show up to do battle with Crypt. So there's been this big old gathering to gather all these superheroes together to fight, a demon that is supposedly worse than the devil. And then that guy sends his Darth Vader out to go and kill everybody or maim them. And then he does that and is kind of undefeatable. And now we've got a Prophet versus Crypt grudge match. And the assumption going into this, I would think, is that Crypt would mop the floor with him because he apparently mops the floor with everybody. Which is maybe the most surprising thing out of this entire crossover, which is that Rob Liefeld managed to build up a villain, like an actual evil character, to be a credible threat. He's not some nobody in, maybe a flashy costume who gets his ass whipped easily, and he's not some big dark side looking guy who does nothing and stands off in the corner up until the last page of the fight, which is pretty much what Chapel's going to do, I think. He's been introduced slowly, I want to say ever since Prophet number 6, which would have been probably more than half a year ago. And he's been kind of moving his way slowly through the Extreme universe and gathering speed, and now he's kind of reached a fever pitch where he's killing off established Extreme characters left and right. So now when we're going to get our big no-holds-barred grudge match between these two, larger-than-life characters in a book that's drawn by Stephen Platt, no less, it's actually a bit of a big deal because it's been built up to be so. This is the first time I've seen this happen in a comic that had Rob Liefeld attached to it in any way. It's mind-blowing stuff, really. So, let's get into that. Alright, so starting with the cover here, this may not be the best Prophet cover like Prophet Series 1 cover by Stephen Platt in terms of, say, composition, like clarity, but in terms of intensity, I don't think you can really match it. This is going to be a battle in hell, or hell adjacent, perhaps, between two massive fucking just slabs of beef. We're just going to slap against each other until one of them is dead, probably. We get all the fire here, all the demons worked into hell. We get Chapel himself, of course. Everybody dramatically double lit. And Stephen Platt wasn't having your regular comic book format, so he didn't leave any kind of room for the title. He's going to make this all kind of a triangular composition, so that's something. So you can't put the Prophet logo over Chapel's face, so they had to do it up in the corner, which kind of looks pretty good, actually. Okay, so this is as I said, the penultimate chapter of Extreme Sacrifice. So we get our breakdown on who everybody is. Crypt, of course, is Chapel's Silver Surfer. Chapel is the Uber Devil. Graves is Devil Original Recipe. Prophet. I think this is one of the first ones we've seen that has Prophet in the front. Haunted by visions of a twisted inner duality, Prophet has aligned himself with the forces of righteousness to prevent his horrific vision of the future from ever coming to pass. So that is true. I mean, right from the beginning, in issue number 1, Prophet was having like dreams or something where he kept seeing this hooded, grinning figure, and then, he'd drop the hood and, oh my god, it's me! This is Empire Strikes Back all over again. And then, we get the Order of the Night, the New Men. They keep bringing up the New Men. They didn't do fucking anything over the course of the crossover, as far as I can tell. They just kind of got their asses kicked by Crypt. Which sounds like I'm putting them down, but like kind of everybody did. And Youngblood. Unknowingly manipulated by Graves, the Youngblood team gathers their ranks to prepare for the inevitable conflict with Chapel and his emissary Crypt. Serving as pawns in the cosmic game waged between Chapel and Graves, Youngblood is forced to choose between the lesser of two evils. I mean, I suppose. They could try to take them both down, but that doesn't seem like that's too likely to happen. And then we have the story so far, which I don't think has changed since Extreme Prejudice number 1. A little bit. The only thing that's changed is basically the last sentence here, where we're talking about a darkness which came to bear as Crypt engaged the collective might of Team Youngblood, New Men, and the Order of the Night at Youngblood headquarters, defeating them all, including the newborn, before the arrival of Prophet. That was the bit I forgot to mention. The newborn, who is the son of Dash, he's the baby who became a man in a day or two, and he's prophesied to kill Chapel. And part of what Crypt is trying to do is go around and kill the newborn or kill Dash, or, I don't know, just kind of fuck up everybody in the general vicinity. Alright, so starting off here, we've got Platt and Kirby arriving at the scene of Youngblood HQ post-explosion, and gazing upon the horrors that Crypt has wrought. And, there's like people impaled here. I can't tell who it's supposed to be. It's somebody, though. Maybe some superhero people? Hard to say. Maybe Stephen Platt just drew these pages and, everybody just had to script them. It's not unlikely. I mean, probably Rob Liefeld just gave him a very basic idea of what was supposed to happen over the course of the story. And then, yeah, he draws it. Robert Napton goes back in afterwards to take care of the words. Nobody reads the words, but they're there anyway. I mean, it's not an Eric Stevenson level of saturation, but, they're still all over the place here. There's a fair bit of description. And Platt seems to have been working a little bit on stylizing things a little bit more. He's making, I don't know, just something about this head looks very different from how he used to draw it. It is very dramatically underlit, which we didn't see a ton of, I don't think, different kinds of lighting in previous issues. There's also all sorts of weird panel shit going on here, like Stephen Platt likes to do. These panels here don't seem to do anything. Same with this triangle, this fucking trapezoid. I don't know what this is about. And it really kind of seems like the only thing that really needed to be on this page is this panel here, this fucking rhombus, or I don't know what the shapes are called, and this one, this tiny little one with Prophet and Kirby reacting. So let's see what they're reacting to. Oh, it's titties. Sorry, my bad. No, so this is the aftermath of the battle with Crypt. So these are all of the superheroes of the Extreme Universe who look like they're dead. They're not dead. They're just incapacitated and have varying degrees of disintegration going on with their costumes. Silence a little bit more than everybody else for some reason. And they're going to try and set up like a mystery kind of thing here. So looking through the aftermath, they find like a shuriken that Crypt would have left over. And Kirby is convinced that this would have been a shuriken that he crafted like ages ago. And he can't imagine how Crypt would have come across such a thing. But they don't have time to talk about that now. They got to go find Crypt. And there's some pretty great stuff going on in here. I like the solidity he's starting to get in the faces, where he did used to draw people with like extra long kind of horse faces, and now they're becoming like just too wide to be on a human skull, which works a lot better with Stephen Platt's style. Who's doing the inks on this? I'm guessing Marlo Alquiza. Yep. Marlo does a much better job than most people at inking Stephen Platt. This is his shaft here, a significantly beefier than usual shaft. I think these are his pecs. Holy shit, I figured this was like a shoulder or something at first. But yeah, the inking looks pretty nice on this. It's pretty tight. I like this effect they're able to get every once in a while, where they get this kind of like zipper effect with the intersecting crosshatch lines. It's the kind of thing you mostly see only in Extreme Studios. That seems to be a technique that's being taught. And then at the end here, we get a mostly silhouetted panel. Not quite 100%, because I don't think Stephen Platt would go for that. But more so than usual. And I don't think this is a time-saving thing. Stephen Platt has never done a time-saving panel in his life. I think this is just, he figured this was the most dramatic shot he could come up with. So, okay, here we go. This is how you do a double-page splash. So they're still looking through the wreckage of Youngblood HQ, and they stumble upon more bodies. These are more like standard soldiers or something, and I think this might be Kyber, or somebody like that. Some recently introduced Extreme character who has been just disemboweled. And we get this pretty great shot from behind Kyber, or whoever. This is him being strung up from the ceiling, and, both Kirby and Prophet are looking up at him. Only Prophet is looking through the chest hole. It's pretty great. And there is just, a ton of detail going on in here. The insides of these characters don't make a ton of sense. Like, ribs should probably be in here somewhere, but not, I don't think, up here? I don't think that's how that works. All sorts of crazy cross-hatching going on with the gigantic limbs and the tiny ass. There's a fair amount of detail going on in this gun here, which I like. See, this is just, like I said, how you do a double-page splash. This is why I hate them so much from most other artists, is that they don't maximize them. You can't tell me Stephen Platt isn't going for maximum impact with this splash. I still don't like the fact that I have to turn my comic on its side to see it, but at least when I do, I go, oh shit, that's pretty good. But yeah, wild stuff. Look at all the double lighting going on in here. This is insane. Yeah, that's a fantastic piece. Oh, shoot. Again, I missed it. I guess we're going to have to get epic, so we're going to have to see more of this. So right then, of course, Crypt shows up to issue his challenge to Prophet. It is a pretty cool splash. I'll say that. This isn't the most amount of detail, though, that he could put on Crypt. There's a bunch of other stuff going on in here, though. Like, all this stuff it is kind of directing your eye, and there's a lot of motion going on with these chains. And then you get the cool shot, like the reflective shot between Prophet and Crypt at the bottom here. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. I don't have too much of a problem. Can I put it right side up now? I can. Oh, thank you. So, yeah, Prophet and Crypt are about to show down when Prophet has some kind of telepathic moment where he kind of connects with Crypt for a second. And they say that this has happened before. I don't know if I've ever read that. I did read the other issues of Prophet that Stephen Platt did anyway. I don't think I remember that happening, but that's okay. But anyway, when he makes telepathic contact, he knows what Crypt's identity is. And we're going to see him yelling furiously at Crypt and is about to attack when Kirby takes him aside and goes, okay, just before you do though, I'm going to have like an outpouring of emotion and just tell you all the things I should have said to you at some time about how you're like my son and we're in this together no matter what. So let's go take that Joker. So Kirby is definitely going to live to see the end of this issue. And there's, again, some pretty great stuff going on. These are some pretty easy heads. You know, you do them from straight on. You're not trying super hard. This is the stuff everybody practices. But yeah, at least the hatching is very nice. All the shadowing and everything. This shot here of Prophet, pretty great. Doesn't seem to be going as hard on the vein work as he used to before. Maybe next time we get a double page splash. You know, did he do it at the chest hole? No, we couldn't see enough of him to really tell. And then Kirby here, I don't know if he just couldn't lock down the perspective or what happened. I think it has become apparent over the course of this that in a lot of cases, Stephen Platt just kind of makes a shape for an arm or a torso or a leg and then fills in detail afterwards. It's just he's very good at it. It feels like he might have done that with this head too, and he kind of fucked it all up. This is fucking Quasimodo shit. But that's okay, because he's going to survive until the end of the issue so that he can get a better shot. Oh, wait, shit. No, I'm wrong. So he jumps at Crypt. Crypt kind of flips him over this and one-shots him, kills him. And says, if only you knew about how often I've dreamed about this. So again, this is going to lead up into the big revelation. You can't guess what it is. It's impossible. And of course, killing Kirby enrages Prophet. And now he has the motivation he needs to really take it to Crypt. This stuff here, pretty good. Nothing too spectacular. Although I like the fact that this is all essentially 2 pages that's joined by like the unifying thing with the fire down here. That's kind of nice and a little bit subtle for Platt. And then these heads here are pretty great. This one, not so much. This one kind of makes up for it, though. Prophet aging. Oh, sorry. They say multiple times that his name is Jonathan Taylor Prophet. I assume he changed it from Jonathan Taylor Thomas from, after he was done with Home Improvement. But you can't get too much more intense than that. So that's pretty great. And Prophet is so angry that he's manifested a lightsaber. Are these photocopied? They look like they might be. That doesn't seem like a Stephen Platt kind of thing to do. Yeah, even the veins are exactly the same. Well, I think he threw a couple of extra ones on here. Hard to tell, actually. And yeah, it goes running towards him, and now they're going to have their big confrontation. Right after, Crypt gets a big full-page splash that is unnecessarily broken into 5 vertical panels. I think maybe just Platt either thought that Robert Knapton was going to be able to fill in a speech there, or he just thought this was a cool element. It's kind of a cool element. I can't 100%, disagree with him. And if you ever needed like an anatomy guide for how to draw insane Stephen Platt proportions, I don't think you could do much better than this. Not to mention the exploding sun, all the demons, the burning demons in the background here. Yeah, this is just excellent stuff. This is kind of what you want to see every time you open up a Stephen Platt comic. Oh my God, one more time. Okay, so this is the centerpiece of the book, and I mean that both figuratively and literally. This is at the middle of the book, and it's the best drawing in the book, probably. So if you wanted to get an awesome Stephen Platt poster, like a little mini poster, whatever, you can always buy a copy of Prophet number 10 and just take the middle out of the book. I'm considering doing it myself, and then I'm not going to do it. So this is, I mean, it's just an awesome shot of Prophet and Crypt going at it. We get the, the big shot, the big splash of the two of them leaping in the, Crypt leaping in the air, and Prophet just stretched to the limit, including his pants. His pants have also been stretched to the limit. And then, the little sequential fight scenes that Platt likes to do that don't really add a whole lot, but they just kind of make the overall composition a bit nicer. And all this stuff down here, completely irrelevant. Nobody's reading that shit. You're just looking at all of the awesome lines. Maybe the only thing that's a bit of a shame in this is that Stephen Platt almost certainly didn't ink it, because the lines get a little bit too thick. Like, they're all readable. Everything down here, all the hatching, all the double lighting, everything up here as well. There would be like 3 times as many veins all over the arms if Stephen Platt was inking it, I think. But, Marlo Alquiza, he always acquits himself well. Does, a decent job. As good a job as anybody not named Stephen Platt can do. And I got to figure that the location of this spread in the book was on purpose, and that everything up until now has been basically just delaying until we could get to this splash being in the middle of the book. But, like, he's really going to town. I mean, not just with the double lighting and the cross-hatching, also with the splatter. White splatter seems to have become a big thing for Stephen Platt. At the beginning, it was dark splatter. And I kind of miss it. Like, all the muzzle flare stuff. That was pretty great shit. But, he's going the other direction with it now, and it looks pretty great. So it's just now fighty business. All sorts of speed lines. All sorts of high-intensity action. Not as many speed lines as were probably in there, because nobody has time to ink all your fucking speed lines, Stephen Platt. We're on a schedule here. And we're also going to get all sorts of quotes from Revelations here, because this book's got resonance, guys. So pretty much right away, Prophet gets the upper hand with a big old drop kick. Very nice. I like the musculature in here. It just seems like piled on the quad there. Whacks Crypt around a couple of times and rips the mask off his face. And the mask underneath the face is apparently a demon version of Platt. You might not know that right away, like if you were just looking at it and not reading the vast amount of exposition that's going on. But that's what it is. So the dude who's been going around killing everybody with ease is actually Evil Prophet. So at least that explains why Prophet can take him. It doesn't explain why it's such a one-sided fight. But this is always a fun shot. It's basically a variation on that shot we got earlier with the two heads, only separated by the black. Here, they're just not separated anymore. But I'd like to think that was some foreshadowing by Stephen Platt. And again, I do love the amount of cross-hatching on here. Whenever I'm doing my stuff, I'm trying to reproduce at least to some level, only on a faster schedule, which means you're not really reproducing it. You're getting like a bit of an approximation, like you might remind somebody of Stephen Platt's work. So yeah, now that his face is revealed, Prophet gives him a big old kick to the edge of the cliff here. His Crypt's axe got knocked into the fire, and then a demon hand comes and like propels it out of the fire, and I guess brings it up to the edge of the cliff. It's not very noticeable. It looks like he's trying to make it noticeable, but didn't really think about the way to do it in a composition. So it's actually a bit of an afterthought. But I guess Prophet grabs up the axe and cuts off Crypt's head. So that's the end of Crypt. And it's pretty close to the end of Extreme Sacrifice, where it almost seems like the whole point of the crossover was to kill Crypt. And yeah, so Crypt's body disappears, the dust settles, and then the Brotherhood of the Night are there. Except for Night Saber. I thought he was in that Brotherhood too. And instead he got replaced by Troll. Oh, they downgraded. And now that Crypt has been defeated, Chapel shows up. It's like, oh yeah, there's a final boss. We forgot about that. It's an awesome shot. This is easily the best shot we've gotten of Demon Chapel so far. This is like the only time Troll has looked remotely interesting. This is, I assume, Major Bravo. It doesn't look a whole lot like the version Rob does, or any of the other guys. Probably because it doesn't look all that much like Cable, actually, except for, if you look closely, you can see the flashing eye. And this head here on Link looks a little bit like where Stephen Platt's style would go after Prophet, like when he was doing like Soul Saga and stuff. From what I've seen, I haven't read a ton of Soul Saga, but it's definitely going, like it feels like it's evolved a little bit from the heads he's been drawing in here so far. This is a bit more designy and a bit more solid. And then at the end of the day, I assume this is at the Ragnarok facility. Omen goes into like a secret lab and reveals that he has a Prophet clone that he got, I assume, when he had Prophet in captivity before he escaped and murdered everybody. And he's going to keep him in this crypt, and he's going to perform tests on him for probably the next millennia, and it'll probably fuck him all up and turn him into his evil self. So that's where that came from, which is honestly a pretty good twist for an Extreme book. And it makes sense on like a chronological scale because, eventually he's going to end up in hell. Hell exists in all times, and then he comes back into the world whenever he wants. They still haven't been able to come back into the world quickly enough to either kill Dash before she has the newborn or to kill the newborn when he's like a fucking newborn. And more low effort letter columns. Good shit. We already looked at that one. Glory number 0. Yep. Okay, so that's it for Prophet number 10. Next is the big climactic battle between the Knights of the Order of the Knights. Shit. I mean, the right name is in there somewhere. And Chapel and whatever demons he's got left, I guess. But in the meantime, at least we got one awesome-looking battle comic. In terms of plot development, this is really not much better than any random issue that was in the Extreme Prejudice crossover, in that it's mostly just a fight. Although there's a couple of reveals along the way where if you're actually invested in the lore, as I'm sure nobody was, then I'm sure that was a little satisfying in a surprising kind of way. So really, I mean, even from a story perspective, this exceeds expectations. So next time we're going to take a look at the last episode of Extreme Sacrifice, and that'll be it, at least for this, because we don't need to spend more time on this than necessary. One video each for the books with the Liefeld art, and one video for the Stephen Platt book, and that's it. I'm good. And we should get even a little bit of Stephen Platt artwork in the epilogue as well, so we have that to look forward to. But for this one, that's going to do it. So thanks very much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when the next one's coming out. Go over and subscribe on my Patreon. It gives you early access to everything I do, from the Blood Force stuff to the YouTube videos before they get uploaded to YouTube, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. You can also follow me on Instagram and DM me there for commissions, and you can join the Blood Force Discord server. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.